I was there, the long road through war, a World War II veteran's full account, you know. People look at me today and see an old man. White hair, slow steps, shaky hands. But these hands once held a rifle through the coldest winter Europe had seen in decades. These eyes once watched tanks roll through burning forests. This heart once beat so fast I thought it might explode inside my chest. Most folks today read about the Second World War in history books or watch it in documentaries. But for those of us who lived it, it wasn't history. It was life, raw, brutal, and unforgettable. My name isn't what matters. What matters is the story. And this one happened in the winter of 1944, when the world was at its breaking point. The call to duty. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Never thought I'd leave the state, let alone cross the Atlantic into a war. But after Pearl Harbor, everything changed. Every house, every street, every family felt the shock. So I enlisted, not because I wanted glory, not because I was brave, but because everyone around me was stepping up, and I wasn't going to let them carry the burden alone. Training was tough, but nothing could prepare us for what was waiting in Europe. Arrival in a broken world. Europe looked like another planet. Churches without rooftops. Streets filled with rubble. Entire neighborhoods burned to ash. Kids begging for food. Mothers crying over what they lost. Towns echoing with memories of people who weren't there anymore. War wasn't some heroic poster. War was destruction. Everywhere the eye could see. We moved through France, then Belgium, pushing the Germans back, inch by inch. Every day the front changed. Every night we slept with our boots on, rifles ready. And then came December, the month that froze everything, including any illusions we still had about war. The silence before the storm. The Ardennes forest was quiet. Too quiet. Snow covered everything like a white blanket, hiding something beneath. The trees were still. The air was bitter. You could hear your own breath, louder than the wind. Command said the Germans were retreating, that they were broken, done. But the older guys, the ones who had seen combat since Normandy, they sensed something was wrong. One of them looked at me and said, "Kid, when the forest goes silent, it's not peace. It's the enemy taking a deep breath." I didn't understand at the time, but I would soon. Holding the line, we dug into frozen ground with numb hands, rifles so cold they stuck to our gloves. German tanks rolled through the fog, big, loud, unstoppable, but our orders were clear: hold the line. And so we did. Machine gun fire ripped through the trees. Men shouted for medics who couldn't reach them. Snow turned black from smoke, then red from blood. I remember looking at the guy next to me, Thompson, from Kentucky, only 20 years old. He handed me extra ammunition and said, "If they break through us, they get to the towns behind. We're the wall, kid." I didn't feel like a wall. I felt like a scared boy, holding a rifle too heavy for my shaking hands. But fear or not, we held, hour after hour, wave after wave. We held, when the world went dark. The nights were the worst. No fires, snipers were everywhere. No blankets, freezing temperatures could kill a man in his sleep. No rest, we took turns keeping watch, staring into the black woods, waiting for movement. I've never felt cold like that again. Cold that digs into your bones, that steals your breath, that makes you wonder if you'll ever feel warm again. Sometimes the silence was worse than the gunfire, because silence meant the Germans were regrouping. What the war taught me. People expect me to talk about glory, heroism, patriotism, but that's not what stayed with me. What stayed were the faces. The men who didn't make it home. The ones who never saw the end of the war they fought so hard to help win. What stayed were the moments between battles, when we shared stories, laughed at stupid jokes, offered the last bit of chocolate to someone who needed it more. War didn't make us heroes. War made us brothers. And if there's something I want every generation after mine to understand, it's this: freedom isn't a guarantee. It's a responsibility, carried by ordinary people who choose to stand firm when the world turns dark, just like we did. In that frozen forest, all those years ago,